My name is Mary Ashanti. I'm president of Wycomico County NAACP. And just to tell you a little bit about ourselves, the NAACP is a civil rights, human rights advocacy organization. For more than a century, the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People have worked to ensure the political, educational, social, and economic equality of all persons, and to eliminate race-based discrimination. Inspired by the force and commitment of the call of 1909, which denounced the growing oppression of people of color and mobilized thousands to work to bring this discrimination to an end, the NAACP seeks to establish a strategic direction as it embarks on developing the new call for the 21st century. As a result of that, we have 5 game changers: voting rights and political representation, protect and enhance voting rights for and fair representation for all. And this event tonight would come under that game changer. Of course, education, a free high quality education for all, health equality for all Americans, and economic sustainability. We want to see everyone have a chance to obtain the American dream, and public safety and criminal justice, and there's equality in the justice system. So with that, we will turn over tonight's event to Mr. Orville Penn, and he'll go from there. Mr. Penn.
Thank you, President Ashanti. We're going to get right to it. We've got quite a bit to cover this evening. We've got candidates here that are vying for the position of county council as well as county exec. So quite a bit to be done. So that being said, we're going to start. You've got an agenda in front of you, and we're going to do our very best to follow the agenda as best we can. Questions will be asked. I've got a few questions I'm going to ask the candidates. You, the public, can also ask questions of the candidates. The way we're going to do that, there are cards. There are little cards at each table. If you fill the cards out, if you've got a question, you can write the question right on that card. If you raise your hand, once the question is filled out, someone from the organization will come by and collect the card, and that card will be filtered to me, and we'll try to get as many questions answered as we possibly can from the candidates. We do have a timekeeper. Our timekeeper is right where you raise your hand, and 10 seconds before the time limit is up on each question, he will raise his hand, which will indicate to me that it's time to bring the question to closure. That being said, we're going to start this evening with our candidates running for the office of Wycomico County Exec. So the two gentlemen, Mr. Pollard, I see here, and Mr. Culver, if you'd be kind enough to join me up front here. I've got a few questions, a few things we'd like to talk about, if you don't mind, gentlemen. Gentlemen, thank you for joining me. I don't feel lonely anymore. Now, we're going to get right to the questions. Typically what we do is we give the candidates an opportunity to introduce themselves, but we're going to, in the interest of time, we're going to dispense with that a little bit this evening. However, the candidates will have the opportunity, if they want to intermingle who they are and why they're running with the answer they give to the question, that's certainly acceptable, okay? So that being said, first question, gentlemen, you will have 90 seconds to answer the question. And I'm going to refer the question, first of all, to Mr. Culver. Mr. Culver, you are running for the office of county exec, which would suggest to all of us that there's something that you're not quite happy with, something you're dissatisfied with, or at least something you feel you can do a better job than the current county executive director is doing. I will ask you to address that concern, and as best you can, if you will juxtapose that with the mission of this organization, it would be greatly appreciated. You understand the essence of the question? Okay, that being said, sir, the podium is yours. We will switch seats and positions, and you can go to it.
Thank you very much. I want to first thank the NAACP for hosting this forum to allow us to bring our different views and express our opinions on the many things that we have facing Wycomico County. This bringing it to your membership as well as PAC 14 audience, I appreciate that. I'm running for county executive because I feel like the county is in the wrong direction. I feel like we need to change things. We need to concentrate on Wycomico County. Wycomico County is a very proud and wonderful county. We don't need to be like Worcester County, or we don't need to be like Montgomery County, Anne Arundel County, or any of the other counties. We're Wycomico. We are the largest agricultural producing community in the state of Maryland, and we are #1 in the state of Maryland, and we should be proud of that and share that with everybody. So I do want to push our agricultural as well as our many facets that we have as far as businesses. One of the things I want to do is to create jobs. One of those jobs is to create jobs for young people. We need to teach young people how to work, all races, all different backgrounds. We need to teach them what the importance is of having a job, how they take a job and then make that a future, make it a career. So I believe we start off with our young people. We can't just start off with those that we have here now that are older. We need to help everybody, but we certainly have got to aim our help towards the young people. So I feel different than Mr. Pilot does. Yes? Oh, just 10 seconds, okay. And I appreciate your time, thank you. You seem like you had a question there, so okay.
Oh, you want to finish?
I'm finished. Well, for that nice.
No, he's not asking questions. All right, thank you, sir. Rick, did you want to rebut that? Mr. Pollard, thank you.
Of course, thank you.
I also want to say good evening to everyone, and thanks to the NAACP for giving us this opportunity. He said, I don't feel the same way. I didn't hear anything that I disagreed with. Bobby and I have known each other since 7th grade, I think, when we went to Y Junior High School at the time. It's Y Middle now, and we've always been friends. And I think what he's talking about as far as the county is pretty much the way I feel, and most of us feel that grew up here. I think where the difference might be is in our approach. And one of the things that I've done, and I think this is what ties into the mission of this organization as well, and that's to be successful, you need to be able to form relationships. You know, we can't go it alone, and we've learned that through time and trouble year after year after year. We're not isolated, and as you've heard me talk about what I call the new normal, you know, this big recession that we're still struggling with has been a real game changer. It's redefined the rules, and if we're going to be able to bounce back and concentrate on economic development and provide the climate for business to succeed, for kids to have jobs so that and get an education where they can compete with kids from all over the world for the best jobs, then we're going to have to start leveraging other tools that are at our disposal. We've got to get out of our silo mentalities and start working with Annapolis, start working with Washington, start working from a regional standpoint to see how we can talk to Worcester County, Somerset, Sussex, pull our resources and leverage each other for the benefit of our community. We're in a new normal now. We've got to start looking at things in a new way. But I think we all pretty much want to get to the same place. Thank you.
Thank you. Job opportunities in this community is very important. One of the concerns that this organization has is it's important that an economic disparity does not get created or get greater created. Currently, with our county, one of the things that we have been looking at is the number of African Americans and other minority persons that are in paid policy-making positions in this county. I want you both to address that. How are we doing with that right now? I mean, there should be some representation in policy-making positions of diversity within our county government as there is in our community. So, Mr. Pollard, I'm going to ask you to address that concern first, and then we'll go to Mr. Culver. We have 90 seconds.
Thank you, OP. Actually, we are making progress in that front. When I came to office in December of 2006, I made a pledge at that time that I wanted the county government to reflect the face of the county. And we started challenging all of our boards and commissions to look in the community to see how we could be greater diversified in the people that we call on to assist us with our product, which is service to the community. We wanted to diversify not just by race, but also by gender and where you live in the county. I made the comment that we didn't want to have everything in Wycomico County run by old white men who live in Salisbury. You know, we really wanted to open up the doors of opportunity to have an all-inclusive group of citizens from all walks of life participate. That's on the boards and commissions, the appointed people who help advise us. On employment as well, we've tried to go out and recruit people of color or people of other experiences who can come and bring their experiences to the table. When we recently were looking for a new public works director, we talked to the head of the engineering department at University of Maryland Eastern Shore to see how we could reach out in more of a broader sense to try to attract someone who could come to Wycomico County with the qualifications that we needed. Unfortunately, in that exercise, we didn't get any applicants from the African American community. We've also joined the Forum for Black Administrators, which is a nationwide organization with access into minority communities across the country, so that when we advertise for jobs now, we are open and exposed to a much broader range of people than we have been through the traditional means, through local paper and that sort of thing. So we do recognize that as important, and we're working on that.
Thank you, and I agree with Rick. I think we've done a great job as far as opening the doors up for everybody. I think, as many of you know, probably one of the most prominent positions in Wycomico County is held by an African-American woman, Ms. Sharon Morris, and she is wonderful. She is probably the best in the county as far as knowing where all the skeletons are buried. She has been around so long and knows what's going on. She's excellent. But it's not just the county opening its doors to minorities. It's the minorities themselves getting the education, getting to Warwick, getting that learning, teaching themselves what they want to do, having a goal in mind. We can't make positions open just because of race, religion, or creed. We've got to open positions for what's needed in Wycomico County. So these people have got to learn on their own that you've got to instill that desire to get ahead. And that's handled by their peers, their families, and the community, not by a government. A government is not here just to create jobs for any one group.
Gentlemen, I've heard the word we've done good with regards to the question that was asked. Quantify that a little bit for me. Can I get you to make, as we move forward, a commitment, a specific commitment, something along the lines of, well, we're going to have 5 or 6 more Hispanics or African Americans in policy making positions within the next 2 years, or something to that effect. Something very tangible, something very objective that we can hold you accountable for as we move forward in the future. Ms. Culver?
Okay, I agree with that. The problem I have with that, to give specific numbers, is kind of like locking yourself into something that really can't be done. Let me quote your mission statement here, and I use that as a guide. The mission of the National Association of Advancement of Colored People is to ensure that political, educational, social, economical equality of rights of all persons, and to eliminate race-based discrimination. If you open it up for one race, you're discriminating against another race. I want all people to come, but whatever the race is. It's based on education, it's based on knowledge, it's based on what you can do, is how you get jobs. You don't get jobs by being any certain color or being any certain race versus male versus female. I think everybody should be valued on their knowledge and their education.
I understand where we're going with the question, and you and I have had that conversation any number of times. I'm reluctant to put a number also, because my experience has shown me that the pool is so shallow. When as I mentioned a while ago, when we were attempting to broaden our search for a new public works director, and we actually recruited help from the University of Maryland Eastern Shore, with all of the efforts we made, we still were not able to attract an applicant from the African American community. Not that that would have been a make or break element of our decision making, but just that we made the effort to try to get people to see us and to appeal to them to come and work with us for the betterment of our community. To say that I want this number of Hispanic people on a board or a commission, or this number of African Americans or Native Americans, and use that as a target with some measure of commitment, I'm reluctant to do that simply because we don't have the pools available to us. What I am willing to commit to, and what I have done, is that we are going to create the context where diversity is encouraged, and we're going to take advantage of whatever tools may be at our disposal, such as advertising throughout the various communities, letting people know where the opportunities are and bringing them here. And then we work, again, in our own community by reaching out and trying to go out and recruit people. Say, don't you want to come and work on the planning commission with us? The planning commission is going to determine what kind of county we have years ahead from now. You need to be a part of that. And so it's up to us to aggressively go out and sell ourselves as an opportunity to serve the public. And that's the one commitment that I'll never waver from.
Folks, please don't forget, we'd like for you to be involved in this process as well. There are cards, index cards on the tables. If you have a question that you'd like either of these, or both these gentlemen to address, please feel free to get the cards to Ms. Ashante. Just raise your hand and she'll come around and she'll get the card, and she will get that information to me, and I can address the question. Let me switch gears a bit here. Crime. Recently, we've had some killings in our community. We had one the other night that I got bits and pieces of information on it, and the bits and pieces of information that I got was really disheartening and real bad information that I received. I want you to address that for us. How do you think, as a community, we're doing on crime? One incident I'm thinking about is an African American man who was shot as he left or attempted to, I guess, leave the state police barracks in Wycomico County. So, gentlemen, will you address that whole issue? How are we doing with that? It seems to some that we're having some real serious problems, and problems may not be dissipating racially, but may be increasing racially with regards to crime, particularly amongst young African American men. Who would like to go for? Who wants to? Go ahead, Bob.
What happened the other night at the state police barracks was truly a shame. There was no doubt about it. But you've got to sometimes look at what caused it. I understand the panic of the state policeman. I understand that. The gentleman that was shot was I don't know how you say this in a tactful way. You don't go to a state police barracks with marijuana in your car. I'm sorry if you just don't do that. So what happened next, the turning off of the keys, and what I understand about it was that he tried to leave the scene at that point in time, and then the shooting taking place was truly tragic. We've got a great sheriff's office, we've got a great state's attorney's office. They're doing what we can to lower the crime rate. We've had problems last night in town with supposedly drugs. I don't know if this is isolated to our community any more so than it is any other community in the United States. But I do know that with the proper police protection, the proper state's attorney's facilities that they need, we can help to try to clean that up a little bit. But I don't see that there's going to be bad people no matter where you come from, wherever you are. We can't cure all the ills of the world. But in our community, we want our state police, our county police, our city police to remain strong, as well as our state's attorney's office. So again, I feel that part of that was the occupant's fault.
The issue of crime is one of those super nebulous issues that everyone has an opinion about, and it almost starts sounding trite when you talk about what really needs to be done with crime. And the truth of it is, you have to deal with the sources, the root cause. The demographics in Wycomico County have changed dramatically since Bob and I were kids. We're not a wealthy county. In fact, we're competing for bottom in Maryland for wealth for school funding, for our basic base of wealth that goes into what gives a community confidence. And there are those segments of life that occur when you're in that economic condition. And so, sure, it's easy to say we've got to do more in school. We've got to do something to give our kids alternatives to life on the street and the crime that comes with it. We've got to do something in our prisons. Ron Pagano and I are working on matters that will help reduce the rate of recidivism so that we can look at the folks that are incarcerated and try to find those people who can still be saved and bring them out and give them opportunities to put their energies to a positive bend We've got to look at those kinds of things. In the meantime, we've got fires coming up every night. We've got things happening every day. Matt and I were at the emergency room last night looking after the two officers, one deputy, one state policeman, who were involved in the shootout downtown. You know, you look at these guys, and they could be your sons. You know, these are young boys. These are not much more than children. And you want to protect them as they're putting their lives on the line to protect us. And so you don't want to just get drawn into a debate of what's trite and easy to say that doesn't amount to anything. If we don't decide as a community that we're going to deal with the root causes of crime and try to give our young people and all of our citizens alternatives to the dark side, then we're not going to be able to do it. And so that's what we have to come together about, define what's achievable, and put our resources there.
We're getting some questions from the audience, and we want to thank you for that. One of the questions that we've received is a question that I also had. It relates to a recent audit that was done of the Wycombe County school system. That audit showed a number of deficiencies. One of those deficiencies was that school employees were getting higher raises than they were entitled to. Pay raises for bus contractors were negotiated at a rate higher than they should have been, costing $3.2 billion. Some $162,000 spent on corporate cards for restaurants and fast food, and cyber security efforts were severely lagging. This was an audit report recently completed of the Wycombe County school system. Gentlemen, what would you do? What could you do? Rick, I knew you were involved with the Board of Education at one point, so we're going to start with you, and then Mr. Cole, we'll deal with you.
Thanks, Opie. Clearly, the audit of our Board of Education was troubling. It pointed out a number of issues that need to be attended to and need to be attended to soon. I don't know if any of you have actually read the report and were able to also get through the meat of the report to the superintendent's response. A lot of the issues that were raised had legitimate responses. Now, all of them didn't, and not all of them are something that you can just pass away as a difference of opinion or something like that. Clearly, there needs to be a tightening up of the accounting. In the budget that we're currently in, that I put together and sent to the county council last year, we included money for an efficiency study of the Board of Ed from their funding. We contracted with the SAGE Policy Group out of Baltimore, an international consulting agency that mainly deals with economic development, but also with financial management. They partnered with Memo Derricker and the Beacon Institute here at the Purdue School of Business at Salisbury U. We are expecting their report any day now. In fact, we've demanded that we have that report in time so that we can make any appropriate decisions as a result from that report in next year's budget proposal that we'll be taking to the county council next week. And so clearly, we all have an interest in how our money is being spent, whether it's in the Board of Education or whether it's in the Public Works Department. We did commission our own audit or our own study, and we are looking forward to the results of that. And we'll see if it complements, challenges, support some of the things that came out of the state audit. But regardless, we're going to take what we've learned and try to hold those that are in charge accountable.
Well, I agree with Rick to a certain point, but troubling is not the right word for it. I think it's much more serious than troubling. When that much money is not spent in a prudent fashion, they've got some answering to do, because there's a lot of money wasted there. I would love to see that money have gone towards educational needs. I want our kids to be as up-to-date as any kid in the state of Maryland, whether it be laptops, whether it be iPads, whatever it is. That's how we get our group ahead, not by spending 900 hours at one of the local restaurants for a meeting or for a type of luncheon. If you see the reports and you actually get through that, you are going to be appalled at what some of the money that was spent. So I don't think just brushing over it saying it was troubling is fair enough response to it. I think there needs to be a lot more to it. I personally do not believe that the Board of Education should not get anything above maintenance of effort that the state requires us to do until they prove that they are good managers of Wycombe County's money. We spend 50-some% of our budget goes to the Board of Education, and somebody needs to answer for that money when it's being spent that way.
Gentlemen, this is our last question. It deals with job creation and economic development. Quite candidly, the question is, what should the county, or what is the county executive's role in creating jobs and that whole issue of economic development in our community? What is that position's role? Okay? You want to go? Okay.
Thank you. Once again, this is something that we've got a pretty good record on, and it's something, again, that fits into the mission of the organization we're here speaking with tonight. The county executive, by his control of, or her control of the budget, and when I say control, the county executive is the author of the budget. He or she establishes the focus of what's going to come up in the next year or so. Part of, if there's any upside to this recession that we're going through, is that it's given us time to step back and take a good hard look at who we are and who we want to be, who we can be. So we've brought in people from around the community. Again, going back to this SAGE group, we had panels of citizens comprised of a wide cross-section of our community, of every political persuasion, of every economic experience, of every professional experience, come together and help us define what kind of community we are. What we came up with is the understanding, and I think many of us suspected this all along, is that the way out of the current problems that we're having is through economic development. And so what have we done about that? Just last year alone, I promoted 3 proposals that help create a more positive business environment so that business can succeed and business can expand and bring in people for jobs. For one thing, we decoupled the property tax rate from the business tax rate, so that one doesn't have to be related to the other. By doing that, the budget that we're currently under has a business tax rate 13 cents below what it would have been if we had not undertaken that last year. We also have promoted, and the county council has accepted, elimination of our inventory tax. That will be a tremendous benefit to local businesses. It'll be spread out over 5 years. We'll be going into the 2nd year of that. There's also a manufacturer's tax exemption that most businesses could apply for and receive, but you had to go through a bureaucratic mess of red tape to qualify and then wait and get the answers and get it approved. We've made that automatic so that businesses can immediately claim that tax exemption and get it and use that as they figure out how they're going to operate for the coming year and what their opportunities will be. So we are putting together the climate where business hopefully will be able to succeed. Thank you.
I could sell you an extra 30 seconds if you like there. You were going there. We've got to get out and get jobs. My career has been as an entrepreneur and a business manager. I've had people in Wycomico County depend on me for their living, for their families to be able to raise in Wycomico County. You've got to know how to create a job. You've got to know what a businessman wants in order to create jobs. Wycomico County has got to start with the children. I believe it was Mrs. Shanti about 3 weeks ago, we were in here with Dave Ryan, talking about the kids needed a job as far as almost like a WPA program to put the kids to work, to teach the kids how to work. You know, it's as important that someone learn how to work as it is getting their first paycheck and showing them what they can do with that paycheck. So we've got to teach that. It's a whole new culture thing we've got to work with. So we've got to get out and do that. The county is not here to create jobs. The county is here to enable different manufacturing companies and different corporations to create jobs. The private industry creates the jobs. The county is only an enabler. So with that, I would like for the county to stay as a strong enabler in helping different businesses come to the area and also be able to bring the kids involved and get them, teaching them how to work and start off at the next generation. Thank you. Did you get that?
Thank you, gentlemen. Gentlemen, thank you so much for your responses to these difficult questions. We are going through some difficult times, and we really appreciate your willingness to serve. We really do. We really appreciate it. There were many questions that were sent to us. We haven't gotten to the bulk of them. Gentlemen, I'm going to ask you if you can stick around, and if folks, you asked questions or you had questions to ask, we didn't ask them for you, please get together with the candidates on a one-to-one basis on the outside, in the hallway rather, and ask them whatever questions, additional questions you may have. I don't think they will mind doing that. Again, thank you, gentlemen. Now, gentlemen, we'll give you don't leave yet. Please don't leave me yet. Give you 90 seconds to wrap up. It's optional. You don't have to take it. 90 seconds to wrap up. We will start with Mr. Culper.
I'll buy that time back now. You know, I've said a lot of what I feel like and everything, but you know, as much as Rick and I disagree on some policies and how to get to certain points, we agree on several things together. He's right. We grew up together. We grew up in a Wycomico County that's different than today's time. We grew up in a much simpler time, and I'm sorry that this next generation is not going to enjoy some of the simpler times that we had. But while Rick and I do agree that we have pride in Wycomico County, our family, our community, and our organizations here, we also have some other things that we agree on. Rick was quoted in the Daily Times on February 22nd as saying, "Carver will hold consistently different visions in the future in Wycomico County, and I cannot think of anyone more opposite than myself." So I do appreciate that. Rick and I are opposite when it comes to that point, but we will remain good friends, and like I say, hopefully we'll both be here to help Wycomico County grow and expand into the next generation. Thank you, Rick.
Yes, sir. Yeah, you can't believe anything you read in the paper. I just want to say thanks one more time to all of you, and thanks to Bob, too, for having this become something that will generate some more interest in our office and in the effort that we're trying to make. I'm approaching this as I do a job application. I'm not taking anything for granted. I've been your county executive from the beginning. My basic pattern is getting people engaged, and that's where I think, again, we return to the mission of the NAACP. Our community didn't create my job as the result of some intellectual exercise. We lost confidence in our leadership in the county because of decisions that had been made. And so we've tried this executive form of government basically as an experiment. And so from the beginning, it's been my goal to try to get more people engaged in government so that we can have a greater stake in the decisions government makes. You know, we all like to talk about our rights as citizens. We have the right to this, we have the right to that. But I've learned that we have duties and obligations as citizens as well. And that's to be involved and become a part of the community discussion and the community decisions. And so when I talk about differences between Bob and me, I feel like I've put more emphasis in trying to really reach out and bring people to the table. We call it collaboration, collaborative dialogue. Let's talk to everybody, and somewhere along the line, we're going to come up with some pretty good ideas that are going to make our county exactly the kind of home we want it to be. Thanks very much.
Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you so much. Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you. Good, thanks a lot, buddy. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.